And let's see. For the agenda. Hello, Mark. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
All right. Shall we go right to reviewing the financials, or is there another issue first?
No, that's fine. Or do you want to do the bills?
Pardon me?
Do you want to do the bills first and get that out of the way?
The vote for the expenses?
Yeah, the bills. Do you want to go through the vote to approve paying the bills first or no?
We could do that first if you like. And we could do it last.
Asking. Just asking.
Uh, I'm sorry, I'm a little disorganized. I've been fooling with some other thing. I was doing emails. Okay, let's go to the expenses and take a look at the expenses, please. I just had a question on the presentation of it, Paul. On the KeyBank credit card, it's to be determined. Then at what point do we, should we see that at some point in more detail, or
Yeah,
what does that run? Is it more or less than $300 or $400?
well, that bill usually comes after our meeting. And that's the manual check that you signed
Yes.
today. So it depends. It was a little high this past time because we had to renew our hotspots. But
Right.
usually we'd like to keep it under 300.
Okay. So it's a matter of when we get the bill that makes it difficult to put it on this.
Correct.
So if it's to be announced and we approve it, could we then look at it next month so we see what it was?
Sure, absolutely. We can do
Because
that.
I think that's the whole point of approving it, is to keep an eye on where the expenses are and what they are.
Sure.
Okay. Anybody else looking over the expenses have any questions on any of the items?
I think I did. So what was the electrical work up at Lansingburg for?
Well, we moved the desk forward in order to give us more room for the staff, so that basically they're spread out. In moving the desk, it required moving the electrical work as well.
And microfilm charges?
Yes, we have 2 microphones in the Troy room. And
Oh, that's the, those are the repair contracts for the 2 new microfilm readers.
So we rent those?
No, those are
Repair, you said repair.
contracts for the year.
Okay, thank you. And, oh, I know what it was here. It says renewal 2020, 450, and then it says 2020 renewal, 450.
yes, there's 2 different machines.
Oh, so, okay. So,
And they're dyslexic?
So, yeah,
No,
just
that's
don't
just-
mix them up there. I don't know.
Yeah, that's just for me so that I can make sure that they both get inputted. But I think I just forgot what I put in before, so that's why it got flipped around. But it's 2 different machines.
okay, thank you.
Sure.
Right. And the advertising?
Yes, that is the the candidate advertising that Paul has to do with the record.
Okay, so to let people know for the vote.
Yeah, that was for the vote.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Anyone else have any questions? All right, somebody want to make a motion to approve the expenses in the amount of $29,730.10?
I motion that we pay the bills.
Very good.
I'll second.
Does anybody agree with that? Or seconded?
I seconded.
Evelyn raised her hand quickly.
Okay.
Is there anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? So I'll take it everybody's in favor of the unanimous vote. Thank you, Evelyn. We got the necessary thing out of the way. And I was trying to make a file that would let us look at the modified budget and the budget side by side. So I was in and out of an IRS issue today, so I just sent at 5 o'clock the accurate one. There was a mistake in the modified budget one, so everybody has it on their email, but I don't know if you want to take a look at this document and discuss it, or we could move to next time. I just started to send it around this morning, or maybe mid-afternoon. Paul seemed to like it. I like it because it's one place to get a summary kind of information on our performance, both on the modified and first budget in the same way. And I think that's what we're trying to move towards when we talk about a balance sheet, so that we have these, well, at one point, we want to be able to look at a financial statement or financial status as a whole. So including construction grants and consolidating information is a good way to do it, because then we can track it this way. So if you like, we could walk through this document. It's actually a summary of the statements. The detail of the statements I'm taking from the bottom line, but the results of the finances are in the year to date on the modified budget. We're actually doing very well. You know, our net is basically right on budget for revenue. We're over by 23,500 basically, and on expenses we're under by 36. So the year-to-date issues on the modified budget would indicate that we're performing very well and strongly. I wasn't quite sure about how to handle that capital budget, and Paul and I and Joy can talk about it before the next time. On the monthly, which more reflects the changes that we made, the revenue was off by 28.8 basically, and the expenses by 20,000. So on the net for the month on the modified budget, we were off by $8,800, and that's been modified because of 113. I'm sorry. Let me pull this up. Be accurate to what I sent you.
Bob, this is the point I should mention, that there are a number of calculation errors on the sheet,
Okay.
and I emailed you a corrected one after I saw it, and I can send it to everybody, I think, if you want. Actually, it would be difficult because I'm not in Excel anymore.
Oh, yes. Okay. I was out at my IRS. I wanted to send something from the post office. So it's been a hectic afternoon. I didn't look at it, Mark, because when I got back, I got into this quick discussion. I'm only okay. As you did it, Mark, let me pull up yours. And so on the modified budget, we were the same. And
Yeah,
on
the difference is the nets. Don't calculate. The modified is correct.
right,
The year-to-date modified is not correct. The actual net is 6326. The budgeted net was 442220.
yes, I understood that.
Yeah.
Yes,
And the variance was $50,000 to our favor.
right.
And then in the original budget, that also had some errors in it. But
Okay.
it was just there was missing the net on actual and budget net.
Now,
For year to date.
yes, okay, so I have on my current one, which was corrected, 79050, as you do on the original.
Mhm.
The net seemed to stay the same on, when I'm looking at yours and mine, no?
Yeah, there was just no actual versus budget net of expenses, revenue and expenses in those columns. I just added them. That's all.
Okay,
So the real calculation fixes were in the year to date of the modified budget. I think part of that was because the capital project expense was included in that column, so things didn't line up correctly.
okay. So we're off 8,000 for the month, and
We're positive. We're
budget on the variance year to date.
we're 50 ahead.
Right,
We were budgeted to have a year to date net loss of $44,228, and we actually have a year to date positive of $6,326.
well, Paul had said in our last discussion, the last finance meeting, applying the modified budget will be more true to it as we go further. Is that still the case, Paul? Are you comfortable with the modified budget and the performance as it is?
Oh, yeah, that's, I think it gives you a good overview, without all the other details, but, obviously we'd still use the details as well, but I think, if we just use it just gives you a good overview of where we are.
And we also have to remember that the reason we're 50,000 ahead at the moment is because we modified the budget because of what's going to happen as we get towards the end of the fiscal year.
Right,
So we don't feel it a moment right now, but we're going to start to feel it as the year goes on. You'll see that close down.
Have we received tax revenue checks for this in this past month or to this point?
What have we received, Joy? There was, let's see.
There's nothing on the cash flow statement for the month.
Yeah, we haven't received anything else. We shouldn't receive anything till probably next week or the third week of September, when you get your large payment.
Sometimes things don't get posted in the finance statement.
Yeah, I think everything's posted, isn't it, Joy?
I believe so.
Okay.
We got that last check for 51,000, I
Yeah,
think.
I believe that's in there.
And that's posted, yeah. So I guess that's a pretty true picture of where we are with tax revenue.
Now, I was the one that wanted the kind of new budget to follow. I no longer feel the need for that. Do other people still want that? The modified, what is called the modified? Because if I'm the only one, perhaps we should stop using it and making Joy do it.
Are you talking about a report that shows the modified and the original budget?
I'm sorry, was that a question for me, Mark?
Yes. Are you talking about the report that just shows the difference between the modified and the original budget?
No, I'm talking about the modified financial statement that Joy produces.
The whole statement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because if it's just for my need, I no longer feel the need for that.
Well, have you had any other information about the tax levy for the remainder of the year?
There wasn't an answer to my question. Does that mean nobody feels the need for the second financial statement?
I don't feel the need.
Does anybody feel the need for that second financial statement that Joy's been producing? Okay, so Joy, you don't have to do the second one going forward? Okay, Bob had a question.
I'm sorry, I was I was surprised at that. I'm just processing it. What did you just say, Marie? So Bob, what?
Didn't you have a question on whether there's any updated information on what we can expect for the tax revenue for the remainder of the year?
Yeah, that's what I had asked Paul. Do you have any indication of a change in the tax levy that we'll receive?
There's nothing since I talked with Andy a while ago. And he explained that it looks like tax revenue is actually ahead of 2019. And I don't know if the city has reacted to that yet. I don't know whether they've made any, changes on their part, but right now they're not expecting a decrease in tax revenue for 2020.
I had read something in the paper that the tax revenue collection was starting to run behind by about 8%.
I'm sorry, what?
Mark, have you heard that?
Yeah, I heard it was starting to run behind too. I don't remember where I heard it though.
Well, there was an article a while ago saying that they anticipated, a drop in tax revenue. But once they saw the collections come in, they revised that.
Revise that?
Yeah. The collections, for the second part of the year were actually ahead of last year.
Right. Marie, you sort of just did away with the modified budget. I'd be more comfortable holding on to it and get a report about the tax status before we do that.
But we'll get, big information with the first large payment, Bob. I mean, that's the third week of September.
Can I ask for clarification?
That'll tell us an awful lot about tax collection.
Wait.
I
Not
wasn't proposing returning to the previous budget. I was just suggesting eliminating that extra financial statement. Evelyn?
That's what I'm saying, a clarification. I didn't get I was curious at first, but the more you explained it, the more I realized you were just looking at a report, not following that new modified budget. So that's what we're doing. We're just not getting a second report. But we are following the modified budget.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So Bob, which were you talking about? The report or the modified budget?
Are you talking to Evelyn or you said?
No, I said Bob.
Yes. Yeah, I would like to maintain the modified budget.
Right, there was no proposal to change that.
No, you had said, I didn't propose changing anything.
right?
No.
Nor had I proposed changing the modified budget.
Okay,
Had proposed, and I thought people agreed to, eliminating that extra financial statement that is called the modified financial statement.
It'll be the modified budget one.
So I'm not sure which one you're speaking to.
Well, we have the annual budget that we passed, and then we went through the exercise to reduce expenses by 10%. And we came up with the modified, what we're calling here, the modified budget. And you're proposing to drop one of the 2-page reports, which is fine. I'm just trying to clarify which one. The modified budget that we worked on is what we'll expect for the remainder of the year. Isn't that correct?
No, I proposed eliminating the modified financial statement
That's,
because I had seemed to be the only one who wanted that, and I no longer feel the need for it. So if I had asked whether if no one else felt the need for it, I suggested that we eliminate that modified financial statement,
okay.
that second statement that Joy has been producing.
Right.
And nobody had indicated that they wanted to see it continue.
Okay, and just in discussion, I had said, well, it'd be fine to eliminate it if we were sure that it wasn't needed. And I'm still nervous about financials in a general way on the collections. So verifying it for one more month and then eliminating it in the last quarter would be fine, but I don't know, we could decide to do that, but try to get a verification from Andrew that we don't expect a deficit in the last quarter, or what we're thinking.
So you're saying you would like to see it continue, that you would like to see that report continue to be produced.
I would like it for one more month and assure.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. You know, when I asked, nobody spoke up at that time. So I just couldn't see it being produced if I were the only one who wanted it to begin with and nobody else was using it. So, but if other people are using it, then that's fine to continue.
I think it's useful. Paul, do you think it's useful if you're faced with challenges?
No, I think,
Have a modified budget?
you know, we still have those targets, you know, in the expense column that we have reduced. Those are easy to read right from the regular financial statement. So I haven't really needed, you know, the modified statement.
But if Bob still finds it useful, then we can continue it.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't really matter, but I'm just saying I don't really use that other than, you know, I'm watching the targets that we set before, and of course the overall reduction that's reflected in the regular statement.
Well, when you looked at the difference between the two, they're not that significant at this point. And the expenses, for example, 107 and 113, performance is what it is. All right, if it's not being used, then we could drop it.
But you're using it, right, Bob? I mean, you want to use it, so let's continue it. I thought I was the only one who had felt the need for.
Yeah, I think a lot of work went into it. So we have the routine down there. It doesn't seem like it's that much of an extra burden. Is it an extra burden to you, Paul, significantly? Would you like to see it go away?
I don't know, Joy, you have to produce that. Is that a burden, or I don't know? I mean, it's just like a lot of information.
Whatever you guys want, I will do.
Yeah, but we're just trying to get a sense of the depth of the work involved for you, Joy. I think
Yeah,
it's
it
a
does
great
add,
question. Does it take you an additional 2 hours, an additional 5 hours?
it doesn't take an additional 2 hours. It might just take a little bit longer, like an hour or so. So if you want to continue doing that, I can still.
Sometimes you can have maybe too much information. I don't know. It could be confusing. We are working on having a balance sheet for next month's meeting, one that I actually understand. So, that's going to be an additional piece of financial information, to work with. So,
We can continue for next month and then decide then. Did we want to do that?
Okay, I prefer, let's keep it 1 more month and we'll talk about it toward the end of the month and see. We'll produce it and just see where we are. We might have some more information that would make it worthwhile to keep. And if not, we'll kill it in the next month.
Absolutely.
Okay, very good. On the bank reconciliations, if we could, are there any other questions on the finances? Any questions on the finances? Well, hearing none, I'll close the discussion on the finances. And I just had a question on the bank accounts. Looking at the one that's a payroll account, there was no activity in it, and I didn't understand that. The 1240 key bank payroll.
Yep, there was activity. I think what happens is it goes away as things get reconciled. That's what happens at the end of the month.
Okay.
But
this is not actually like payroll account that you would have. It's just the bank statement. So when we make a deposit and then it's taken out, and then it's not kept here, but it's kept in our regular records and regular payroll accounts.
Right. It's, well, maybe we could have more discussion offline sometime, Paul, because I really, as we try to put things into one place to see measures, I need to better understand the flow of what's the function of the payroll account, where does that money come out of to go in? When I see it on the financial statements, which is, salaries are there, and I would think that the payroll account is where that would come from, but maybe it's just my idea because of the title.
So the payroll account, the whole purpose is set up for ADP, which goes into the account and generates the checks.
Right.
We don't want them in our operating account.
Okay.
So we set up a separate payroll account where they can go in, produce the checks, and do that sort of thing.
Okay, but the expenses of the payroll are represented in the financial statement.
We put the payroll amount in the account and they take it out. I mean, that's basically all it is. But we need that so that they're not going into our operating account.
Okay.
if you need like a better idea that we could talk about that too, Bob.
Yeah, okay. I was just trying to equate the salaries to the payroll account and what is activity. Look, it's in the financial statement clearly. I don't have any other questions or business. Anybody else? Somebody propose to adjourn? Tis time. We'll adjourn the meeting without anybody objection.
Yep.
Okay, we can stop the recording. Thank you.